We here at the Sports History Network proudly partner with 26 podcasts, all revolving around the history of sports. But did you know that many of our hosts were sports history authors way before they started their shows? It's true. We've got Joe Ziemba, host of When Football Was Football, Joe Zagurski, host of Pro Football in the 1970s, Mark Morthier, host of Yesterday's Sports, Tommy Phillips, host of Lombardi Memories, and Scott Adamson, co-host of From the 55-Yard Line. All these authors have many books for you to choose from. To check them out, go to our website at sportshistorynetwork.com/sportshistorybooks. Pick up your copy today. Soundtrack provided by Kevin MacLeod of filmmusic.io.
One of the top experts in early football rules history, Timothy P. Brown, joins us again on a discussion to explain a time in football when there was not an end zone to be found anywhere on the playing field. Tim Brown's Archaeology.com has a great football factoid that he shares each day, and this is one of them. When the time there was no end zones, coming up in just a moment.
This is the Pigskin Daily History Dispatch, a podcast that covers the anniversaries of American football events throughout history on a day-to-day basis. Your host, Darren Hayes, is podcasting from America's North Shore to bring you the memories of the gridiron, one day at a time. So as we come out of the tunnel of the Sports History Network, let's take the field and go no huddle through the portal of positive gridiron history with pigskindispatch.com.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com.
Hello, my football friends. This is Darren Hayes of pigskindispatch.com. Welcome once again to the Pig Pen, your portal to positive football history. And as we're trying to do every week, we're going to go and visit Timothy Brown in the Football Archaeology website and talk a little bit about some of his recent factoids that he's posted up in his daily tidbits. Timothy Brown, Rob, welcome again to the Pig Pen.
Hey, appreciate it, Darren. Looking forward to chatting with you again this week.
Before we get going into your tidbit topic, maybe you could explain to us the experience that our readers could expect from the Football Archaeology website.
Yeah, so Football Archaeology is a place where I do a lot of research on football history, and so it's just a platform for me to write about a variety of different topics. And I look at football broadly. It's the game on the field. It's the fan experience, it's the stadium, it's the officiating, it's the coaching, and everything that goes into putting a team on a field. So I hit on topics. My research kind of hits on all of those topics. And some of them I write up in, kind of long form, something that's going to take 5-10 minutes to read. Others are just real quick little tidbits, 30 seconds, boom, you're done. There's going to be a picture or two associated with it. And so if you're just looking for little quick hitters, instead of watching a commercial, click on Football Archaeology and see what the latest news is, and go from there.
Yeah, they time out. Me being a subscriber, like right at 7 p.m. Eastern every evening, and there's usually a commercial before if I'm watching television or whatever I'm doing. Like you say, a commercial comes on. I see something comes in my inbox. I check it out. I look at the picture real quick, read what you have to say. Like you say, 20, 30 seconds tops. And then I find myself going back and saying, oh, he saw something in that picture that I didn't see at first glance. And it makes me blow the picture up and look at it. So maybe I spend another minute or so in the picture. So I thank you for that. You point out some things that I didn't catch at first glance.
Some of them some of them are very obvious. There's nothing else to say, but others, there's some nuances sometimes in the pics that are just fun to pull out.
Yeah. And I think maybe that segues into our topic we're going to talk about tonight, because I think that's one of the ones that I stopped and looked at the picture again after your writing, after I read it. And that's your tidbit from back on April 24th that says, before the field had end zones. Maybe you could talk about that just a bit.
Yeah, and I just did another one. I found another picture that I thought was a great picture illustrating the concept. So I just did another one to that effect. So, this seems like a really strange thing to say, but, there was a point in a pretty long period where football did not have an end zone. It made sense why it didn't. But so basically the end zone came about. Their first end zones were put in place in 1912. And so, what had happened in the past, there had been, you had the regulation football field, and many fields had the sideline stripe extended further out beyond the goal line, but there was no end line. And the thing is, the game didn't need one, because the only way to score was to carry the ball across the goal line. So even, it had only been a running game until 1906. And then from 1906 through 1911, anytime a forward pass across the goal line automatically became a touchback. So you couldn't throw the ball to a receiver in the end zone. So again, there was no point, there's no reason to have an end line, past the goal line. The goal line was enough. But then once they changed that rule, so now you could throw past the goal line, they kind of needed to add some boundary. It couldn't go on forever and ever. So that's kind of that situation you had, depending on the stadium. Sometimes there was a lot of room and sometimes there wasn't.
Yeah. Just maybe a little bit curious, if you had, somebody down, let's say like the half foot line, goal to go situation, what we would call it today, how much room would a defense have to line up? Because I know they didn't have like defensive backs and linebackers and that, but were the defensive linemen having their feet up against like a wall or a fence to leverage or anything? It's just a kind of interesting situation.
I wouldn't be surprised if that occurred in some kind of goofy little, park somewhere, right? But for these purposes, there were basically three kinds of stadiums in the world. There were about 10 or 20 stadiums in the country that had seat more than 10,000 people. And only two of them that I'm aware of were concrete. And only one of them was a horseshoe anyways. So my point is that those were built, there was enough room when they built those. There was enough room beyond the end zones or beyond the goal line to fit, any kind of activity associated with football. A lot of the stadiums were either in small towns or kind of rural, or they're just places where there's plenty of space. So that wasn't an issue. The real issue was when football was played in baseball stadiums or, parks that were built for baseball. And so a number of those, they were kind of jerry-rigging, fitting this football field into a stadium that maybe didn't really fit a baseball or football field very well. So that's where it got troublesome. And so I've got pictures, and I've published this picture from 1903 of the Polo Grounds in New York City and Manhattan. And, there's only like 4 or 5 yards between the goal line and a fence and stands, right? And then I've got another image from, it was from 1906, but it's in Springfield, Mass. And there used to be a lot of big games. Harvard, Yale would meet there because it was kind of a midway point or whatever, and good rail connections so fans could get there. And so there they had like 6 or 7 yards beyond the goal line until the stands and a fence, stood. So that's where the problem came in. It was never as tight as, even some of the sidelines can be. But so, yeah, it was never wasn't back against the wall, but there wasn't a whole lot of territory. And oftentimes there's other people just roaming around in that area, photographers and fans and whatnot. So.
Yeah, I think your photograph you have attached that has looks like some spectators standing, probably a couple yards away from the end line. Looks like it's a goal line play that's occurring at the time. So, yeah, very interesting indeed. Hey, well, thank you for sharing that with us. It's a great photograph you shared. It's a great little excerpt in your tidbits. And if people want to subscribe to your daily tidbits, how would they go about doing so?
You just go to www.footballarchaeology.com, and if you hit anywhere on that site, it'll give you the opportunity to subscribe, read any of the articles. It gives you an opportunity to subscribe. Most people subscribe for free. You can also do a paid subscription, and there's some additional benefits that come from that.
Well, we will also have those links on the show notes of this podcast and on pigskindispatch.com, so you can get in touch with Tim and get your daily tidbits, because they are definitely interesting. Tim, thank you once again, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Hey, looking forward to it. Thanks, Tim.
Peeking up at the clock, the time's running down. We're going to go into victory formation, take a knee, and let this baby run out. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you back tomorrow for the next podcast. we invite you to check out our website, pigskindispatch.com, not only to see the daily football history, but to experience positive football with our many articles on the good people of the game, as well as our own football comic strip, Cleat Marks Comics. Pigskindispatch.com is also on social media outlets, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and don't forget the Pigskin Dispatch YouTube channel to get all of your positive football news and history. A special thanks to the talents of Mike and Gene Monroe, as well as Jason Neff for letting us use their music during our podcast.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com.
It was just another ordinary day in the offices of the Pittsburgh Guardian newspaper circa 1924. But for Marla Delft, assistant editor, everything was about to change. For she was about to discover the awesome attractiveness of Row 1 brand retro sports paraphernalia items thanks to Orville Mulligan, sports writer.
And there it is.
Wow, Orville, that's really the bee's knees.
Isn't it just? A poster-sized replica of the actual 1909 World Series program cover.
I can see that. But where did you get it? And where'd you get it framed?
I ordered it from the Row 1 website, where over 6,000 items of sports memorabilia from the 1880s to the 1990s are available for reproduction, in multiple sizes and in several different materials, with over a dozen styles of frame to choose from for prints like this.
Well, I'm sure Mr. Delft would love to put up more of these in the office. But I'm equally as sure they're beyond this newspaper's budget.
Not at all, my dear Marla. See for yourself. Go to sportshistorynetwork.com/row1.
sportshistorynetwork.com/row1. Oh my, these are good prices. Oh, and look at this stuff. Oklahoma-Nebraska football, college basketball art, Michael Jordan items.
And so it
retro
was that
sports
Marla Delft
advertisement
discovered the
placards.
splendiferous magic of Row 1 sports memorabilia, arts, and prints. You can too by visiting sportshistorynetwork.com/row1. That's ROW1 today for access to the full Row 1 catalog of gallery prints and gifts like t-shirts, long-sleeve shirts, telephone cases, coffee mugs, blankets, pillows, towels, and even shower curtains. Act today for 15% discount off all prints with coupon code SHN15 and 20% off all other items with coupon code SHN20 at checkout. And keep your dial locked to the Sports History Network for the exciting chronicles of the 1920 sports world in Orville Mulligan, sports writer. Coming soon.